Today I want to share with you some insights that might just leave you speechless. You see, life is a magnificent journey, full of twists and turns, highs and lows. But what if I told you that you have the power to shape your destiny, to create the life you've always dreamed of? It's not just wishful thinking, it's science. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a future so vivid, so real, that you can almost touch it. Now, hold on to that image because what I'm about to tell you might just blow your mind. You see, the human brain is a remarkable instrument. It has the power to mold reality, to turn dreams into tangible experiences. But it all starts with belief. Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, the Wright brothers, Joan of Arc. What did they all have in common? They had a vision so clear, so compelling, that it propelled them forward against all odds. But here's the kicker. They didn't just believe in that vision, they lived as if it were already happening. They immersed themselves in the reality of their dreams, and in doing so, they rewired their brains to make it a reality. Now, isn't that something? Let's delve into this fascinating topic a little deeper. You see, according to the latest research in neuroscience, we have this incredible ability to change our brains. It's like having a magic wand that allows us to shift from dwelling on the past to envisioning a brighter future. So, how does it work? It all boils down to the power of our thoughts. Our brains are incredibly flexible, like clay that can be molded into different shapes. When we consistently focus our thoughts on a future reality, something remarkable happens. Our brains start to rewire themselves to match that vision. Think of it like a beautiful symphony playing in your mind. Each thought is like a note, and when they all come together, they create a harmonious melody. These thoughts trigger a cascade of activity in your brain, with neurons firing in perfect synchrony. As this symphony plays out, a new pattern of existence begins to emerge. It's as if you're painting a picture of your future with each thought, and your brain is the canvas. The more vivid and detailed your vision, the clearer the picture becomes. But here's the truly amazing part. As your brain starts to align with this future reality, you begin to see changes in your life. You start making decisions that are in line with your vision, and you attract opportunities that bring you closer to your goals. It's like setting sail on a ship towards a new horizon. With each thought, you chart a course towards a brighter future. And before you know it, you're living the life you once only dreamed of. But it all starts with a single thought, a single decision to focus on what you want, rather than dwelling on the past. It's about being intentional with your thoughts and directing them towards the future you desire. But it's not just about thinking, it's about feeling. When we infuse our visions with passion, with joy, with gratitude, we activate a potent cocktail of emotions that further solidifies our dreams into reality. It's the combination of clear intention and elevated emotion that catalyzes true transformation. Now let's take a moment to think about something really important. Can you picture yourself loving your dream so much that your body feels like it's already real? It might seem like a big idea, but just stay with me for a moment. Imagine you have this dream in your heart. Maybe it's becoming a great artist, a fantastic athlete, or a successful business owner. Whatever it is, think about it really hard. Feel how much you love this dream, how much you want it to come true. Now, here's the interesting part. When you love your dream that much, something magical starts to happen inside you. Your body, your mind, and even your heart start to believe it's already happening. It's like your whole being is cheering for your dream to come true. But wait, you might be wondering, how does that even work? Well, let me explain. Our bodies are incredibly smart. They can't tell the difference between what's real and what we imagine. So, when you imagine your dream with so much love and passion, your body starts to think it's real. Picture it like this. Your body is like a big sponge soaking up all the feelings and thoughts you have. When you fill it with love and excitement for your dream, it starts to soak up those feelings too. It's like giving your dream a big warm hug, telling it, "Hey, I'm here for you, and I believe in you." You see, the latest research in epigenetics tells us that our thoughts alone can influence our biology. By consistently visualizing our desired outcomes, we signal to our genes to express themselves in new ways, to adapt to this new reality we're creating. In essence, we become the architects of our own biology. So, let's dive deeper into how we can make this happen. It's all about rewiring our brain circuits. Think of it like learning to play the piano. When we practice playing the piano, we're not just moving our fingers, we're also forming new connections in our brain. These connections, known as neural pathways, are like roads that information travels on. Now here's where it gets interesting. We can actually create new neural pathways simply by thinking about something. Yes, you heard that right. Just by thinking. In a fascinating study, researchers found that people who mentally rehearsed piano exercises showed the same brain activity as those who physically practiced them. Imagine that. Your brain doesn't know the difference between actually doing something and just imagining it. It's like a rehearsal for your brain. When you repeatedly imagine yourself doing something, your brain starts to wire itself as if you're actually doing it. It's like a practice session without even lifting a finger. This phenomenon demonstrates the incredible power of thought in action. It shows us that our minds have the ability to shape our brains, and in turn, our reality. So, if you want to make a change in your life, whether it's learning a new skill, overcoming a challenge, or achieving a goal, it all starts with your thoughts. Just like learning to play the piano, it takes practice and repetition. You can't expect instant results overnight. It's a gradual process of building and strengthening those neural pathways. So be patient with yourself and keep practicing. Now you might be wondering, how exactly do we mentally rehearse? Well, it's simple. Close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself performing the task or achieving the goal. Visualize every detail, every step along the way. Feel the emotions that come with it: excitement, determination, confidence. The more you immerse yourself in this mental rehearsal, the stronger those neural pathways become. It's like laying down a foundation for success in your brain. And before you know it, you'll find yourself naturally moving closer to your desired outcome. But here's the thing, it's not enough to just think about it. We need repetition, consistency, dedication. We need to make our vision the focal point of our existence, the guiding light that leads us forward. Now, I know what you're thinking. Change can be uncomfortable. It can be challenging. But remember, discomfort is just a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, that you're on the path to transformation. You see, when we commit to change, when we let go of old habits and embrace new possibilities, we become the masters of our destiny. We no longer dwell in the past, we live in the future, walking confidently towards our dreams. So I urge you to dare to dream, to envision a future so bright that it lights up your soul. And remember, you have the power to make it happen. It all starts with a single thought, a single belief, a single step towards a better tomorrow. So for me personally, I want to execute and be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past. So most people's brains are organized to reflect everything they know in their life. Their brain is a record of the past. And if you feel the same way every single day, and feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences, it means, number one, nothing new is happening in your life, and number two, those emotions are keeping you anchored to the past. If thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, most people are literally, biologically, neurologically, chemically, genetically, and even quantum-wise connected to a past. So then the fundamental question is, can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain has literally changed to look like the experience has already occurred? Now, the latest research in neuroscience and neuroplasticity tells us we can change our brain to look like the event has already occurred. And can we begin to emotionally embrace a future reality that's a potential in the quantum field, and begin to emotionally embrace it to such a degree that we fall in love with that future reality, that our body, as our unconscious mind, begins to believe it's living in that future reality in the present moment, and we're signaling new genes and new ways to change our body to look like the experience has already occurred in preparation for the event. When you truly do this properly, you're not waiting for your success to feel empowered. You're not waiting for your wealth to feel abundant. You're not waiting for your new relationship to feel love. You're not waiting for the mystical moment to feel awe. So if you're talking about manifesting your dreams, well, it only requires two things. It requires a clear intention. An intention is a vision, a possibility. The moment you say, what would it be like to be healthy? What would it be like to be wealthy? What would it be like to have a new home? What would it be like to have a great job? And you get this idea in your mind, that's intention. Then you write down the details. Okay, I want to travel around the world. I want to have great benefits, great insurance. I want to work with really cool people. I want to have a chance to be creative. And you list all of those individual elements to fortify your dream. The more you get clear on those details, the more your brain begins to work in new ways. Anytime you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind. Now, the moment you get inspired and you begin to feel what it would be like to live in that future, your body is getting a chemical sampling, an emotional sampling. It's getting a taste of the future. So the first thing you have to do is you have to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts. You have to notice your automatic habits and behaviors. You have to become aware of your emotions that keep you anchored to the past. And if you can become so conscious of the unconscious states of mind and body that they would never slip by your conscious awareness again, you're becoming familiar with the old self so you don't return. Then if you begin to think about new ways of being defined by a vision, plan your behaviors, review them in your mind. Now, if you keep doing that over and over again, nerve cells that fire together, wire together, you begin to become familiar with a new state of mind. At the same time, if you can emotionally cultivate your inspiration, your joy, your enthusiasm, the head of the experience, by repeating that over and over again, cultivating that state, it's going to begin to become familiar to you. So then the process of change then requires unlearning and relearning, breaking the habit of the old self, reinventing a new self, pruning synaptic connections, as we say in neuroscience, and sprouting new connections. It doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, in shape, out of shape. Not even if you've ever meditated before. It doesn't even matter. That's when it gets kind of cool, because this is when you start believing in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities, right? When you believe in possibilities, you gotta believe in yourself. People are waking up and going, wow, it doesn't matter your skin color, it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how healthy you are, it doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, in shape, out of shape. Not even if you've ever meditated before, it doesn't even matter. It's a formula. And you don't need 40 years of dedication to meditation to get it. You just got to understand the formula. You're going to figure it out sooner or later, and it's going to get easier and it's going to get fun. You know, my rock bottom was sitting there, and it was like a meta perspective of myself, you know? And I could see myself sitting on the edge of the bed, holding these bottles of pills to knock myself out so I can sleep. And that's when I decided to get well in that moment after I'd gotten all those no's. You'll never forget that moment. That is the moment that defined you. Paying attention is being present, and it's a skill just like anything else. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. And you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not present with you because they're not paying attention to you. So where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So if you have all of your attention in the present moment, you're conserving a lot of energy to create with. If I'm talking to you and you're thinking about where you're going to go for lunch and who you're going to go with and how you're going to get there, and I'm talking to you, you left the present moment and your attention went to some future, and your energy will go down and you won't be able to comprehend what I said. If you start thinking about what you should have said at the staff meeting 3 days ago, and I'm talking to you and your mind is back in the past, you're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past. People are constantly siphoning their energy into a familiar past or a predictable future because that's where their attention is. And the stronger the emotions that we feel to certain problems and conditions in our life, the more we pay attention to them. So we give our power away to our ex. We give our power away to that big problem. And that's creative energy that we should be able to use to create a new future. Now the person's back in the past. But if they become aware that they're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past and they settle the body back down into the present moment, that's a victory. And those victories add up. And you're telling the body in that moment that it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind. And that's a victory. You become aware that your body wants to get up and move, and you're in the meditation. And you tell your body, You bring it back to the present moment, you settle it back down, you are training the animal. That's a victory. Now you're executing a will that's greater than the program, because most people lose their free will to a program. Now you're telling the body, I'll tell you when we get up, not when you want to get up. You're not the mind, I'm the mind. And that's a victory. If you keep doing this and you stay with it, sooner or later the body's going to surrender to a new mind. And when that happens, there's a liberation of energy. The body is freed from those habituations and those emotions. The body's going from particle to wave, from matter to energy. And all of a sudden, you're dialing down the anger. You're dialing down the vigilance. And the body now is being conditioned to a new mind. That is the present moment. And when you're in that present moment, something really amazing happens. You forget about you. You're basically just an awareness. You're in the unknown. And that is the perfect place to create from. So it turns out that when people do this properly, they heal themselves of anxiety. Why? Because they're no longer obsessing about some future. When they find the present moment, they heal from their depression because they're not hopeless and powerless in their past. The body's conditioned now. People put stones over their energy centers thinking that's going to heal them. I'm sorry, but I think you put your attention there. I'd do a better job. But it's the placebo, but are those energy centers, the first 3 energy centers, bad? No, they're not bad at all. Those 3 centers are centers of survival, and if you're going to cause a species to exist into perpetuity, you make procreation really pleasurable so that you do it. If second center has a lot to do with consumption and safety, then it makes sense that when you feel safe and you have food and shelter, it's in balance. But it also means that consumption of food, can be really pleasurable as well. And when you take on challenges in your life and you really succeed in them, it takes energy to even get up and get out of bed. You use your 3rd center. But all of these 3 centers are consumers of energy, drawing from the vital field. It's an expenditure of the life force in the body. And these centers can easily be in balance because most organisms in nature, if you study species in nature, they have a respect for mating, the timing of mating. They have a way that they don't overconsume. They're in balance. They're not swinging from don't eat anything to then overeat. Don't abstain from sex and then, it's not the polarity of that. It's the polarity swings, and then as we get up to the center, it swings less. And this 3rd center is really the ceiling of the ego. That's power. And Tolkien's books about, Lord of the Rings, the ring was power. And throwing the ring meant giving up power for something greater. And it's love. That's the greater frequency. So each one of them have their own frequency. And all frequency carries information. Frequency energy has an intent. And when energy moves into any one of these centers, systems begin to change. When the first center switches on because there's energy in there, that center, the energy that activates the brain in that center, produces a mind in that center. Are you with me still? Because consciousness or energy moving through neurological tissue is mind. When neurological tissue gets activated, all of a sudden there's a mind there. So when the first center gets activated, it has a mind of its own, yes or no. And if the second center is activated, or the third center, or the fourth, when you're coming from different centers, there's a different consciousness or a different intent. And when energy makes it to the fourth center, though, now it's no longer the consumption, but there's the expansion of energy. This is the bridge that starts us to connect to our divinity. And connecting to that, putting your attention on it, not only creates heart coherence, but it produces a host of biological chemicals that are released. 1,400 different chemicals that begin to restore and repair the body. When you feel gratitude, when you feel love, when you feel freedom, this is a different frequency. When you care for another, this is where selflessness starts. This is all selfish. Now, can you activate this center? And when you activate the center, can you make love to somebody? Hello? Is that a yes? So now you're doing it in a giving way. The consciousness is different than just when it's from the first center. You understand? So then when you have two coming together as one, and there's true love, and it's done in that vein, in that way, that manner, then there's a beautiful exchange of energy, and there's a growth, or there's a summation of energy. It's not the opposite. So as energy, an enormous amount of energy sits in the first center. When energy can move into the second center, as I said, because you feel safe, and when you feel safe in your environment, your body's more in balance, and you can consume and metabolize and digest and secrete and eliminate. All those biological functions take place in the second center. When you become compromised in your environment, and there's a threat or there's danger, and the environment becomes unsafe, then all of a sudden the autonomic nervous system says, move all the energy you can, because this is how you're going to take care of the body. And of course, now you're a body, local in space and time. So many people have most of their energy by thinking and feeling in the first three centers, as we said. We currently see the world as a physical, mechanical machine. Everything is chemistry and atoms and stuff like that. And it turns out the new understanding really, which is quantum physics, says the focus shouldn't be on the material things. The focus is on the invisible energy things, which include thought and belief, because it turns out it's the invisible energy that controls the physical world. And this is what quantum physics talk about. They talk about what they call the field. And I say, what's the field? Well, they say invisible moving energy that influences the physical world. I go, well, that definition is the same definition for spirit, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. So it's interesting that today's modern science is reconnecting us with the ancient history of spirituality, which really says that we are energy beings inhabiting a physical body. Well, if we understand that, we start honoring the energy part, the invisible stuff that we've let go out of the equation. Because all we look at is, give me the physical material, give me money, cash, give me things. And it turns out that the energy is more powerful, the invisible stuff is more powerful than the physical stuff. So turning our beliefs around and recognizing our thoughts are powerful elements. Then all of a sudden it says, let's start exercising our thoughts rather than exercising our wallet, let's say, in controlling the world. And this gives an opportunity for all of us, every one of us, because we all have thoughts and we all have this energy. And it's since thoughts create the science. And this is quantum physics. They talk about that it's consciousness that creates the world. And so we all have to start recognizing we all are conscious, and all collectively our consciousness can change the world. So when you have a lot of people out there saying, oh my God, the world's out of control, I say, yeah, but all you need is a lot of people who know that to say, let's consciously create the different world. And then we're not held victim of the world that we're in, because we can manifest the world that we want. And that's why I get so excited by all the viewers out there, because each viewer out there represents another consciousness that with all the other consciousness can change the world. And this is what the evolution is all about. What we're facing is an evolution not a physical evolution. It's how we relate to each other with our consciousness. So we're all coming together in one giant consciousness called humanity. And this is the evolution we're facing. You were explaining in your lecture yesterday that we were going from a church-based very much model to then, oh, now science is giving us the truth. Well, the science has been doing that for 150 years. So we left the church-based model of a spiritual world, entered into the science-based model of a physical world. We played both of those worlds now. And what's the evolution? The evolution says both of those worlds collectively make the world. So it's not just spiritual, it's not just material. You have to bring both of them together. And so now that we travel through the spiritual part of the world with the church running the world, and then the material with the science running the world, we're coming to a closure that says to understand the world, you have to invoke both the spirit and the matter. And that's why consciousness, when I talk about spirit, is that really our consciousness, our energy, our thoughts. It's not physical, it's energy. And yet science now tells us those thoughts are shaping the physical world. So we can change the world we live in by just changing our thoughts. But that means changing the programming, which is in the subconscious. You're saying that 95% of things that happen in our life are coming from the subconscious. Yeah. And that's the part that people have to wake up to, because a lot of people think, oh, look, my desire is to be successful, have a great relationship, have a great job. I want all these things, and now I go out in the world and it's like I'm not getting there. I'm not making it. And they get frustrated and they say, well, it's not me because my intention is to be successful and I'm not being successful, so it must be the world is against me. And then now all of a sudden I'm a victim of like, well, this is not the world I wanted. And it turns out, no, it's not the world your conscious mind wanted, but it's the world your subconscious mind has been programmed to create. The elevated emotion is the carrier of the thought. So all energy, all frequency carries information. The faster the frequency, the higher the energy, the more elevated the emotion, combined with a clearer intention, is like a laser because you're creating a more coherent signature. And we know, because we've measured this, that when people have a coherent brain and a coherent heart, something amazing is going to happen in their life. It's not just feeling the gratitude, because we know that just having an elevated emotion doesn't affect matter. We know that just the clear intention of seeing something change doesn't affect matter. They've done experiments on this. You have to combine then the clear intention with the elevated emotion. The emotion is the energy, the frequency, the carrier of the thought. The thought is the intent, it is the direction, it is the specific field, frequency. So it's like tuning a radio dial. So if it's all about vibration, it's all about energy. When there's a vibrational match between your energy and that potential that exists in the quantum field, when there's a vibrational match, it's going to find you. Intention is getting clear on what you want. So let's say you want a new home. Let's say you want a beautiful garden. Well, then start ripping out magazine pictures of gardens that you love. Start drawing pictures, start seeing, and start writing down the things that you want. Throw it up somewhere, and then add another dream, and add another dream, and keep your mind. If you keep your conscious mind on that, your subconscious mind will take you there. Now, I'm not an impatient person, because I know that impatience means I believe that something's not going to happen. But we're here to experience life. We're here to enjoy the magnificence of our creations, and our senses then become the artist that writes the story in our biology. So then when you start to see that home and that vision, you start making the choices for it, and you step into the unknown, and you become the creator, and you do something that's never been done before. And it brings you joy, and it brings you excitement, and it has meaning behind it. Then your body is always following your mind, so of course it's going to take time. But it's no different than a garden that you tend in your life. You're always going to be pulling weeds out, and always going to be pruning branches, and you're always going to be fertilizing and pulling rocks out. But that's the joy of the creation, because you get to eat the fruit of your own creation. So then our senses should be the last to experience what our mind has created. So the intention then represents all the details, but all the details can be summarized in a symbol, a letter, a picture, one picture. And you know that that picture means all of those things because you reviewed all of those things. So if you hold the picture, you hold the symbol, you hold the dream house, you hold the dream garden, but you don't say, oh, when this dream garden comes, then I'm going to be happy. You say, I am, the thought I'm having is the experience, and the experience then produces the emotion. And once the emotion begins to occur, now your brain and body are in the future instead of in the past. Once you start opening your heart, it begins to move into coherence. It begins to produce a measurable magnetic field up to 3 meters wide. Now that's frequency, that's energy. And all that energy, that frequency carries information, carries an intent. So then when you're feeling gratitude and your heart is open, you're broadcasting energy into the field. A frequency, you lay the intent of the thought of your health or your wealth. That frequency can carry the thought of your wealth. It can carry the thought of your health. If you're suffering, you can't. Suffering does not carry. That energy does not carry the thought of your wealth. It carries a different set of thoughts. If you're going to believe in that future that you're imagining with all of your heart, it better be open and activated, and you better know how to self-regulate. And you have to know the moment you disconnect from the energy of your future because of some circumstance in your life and you lose that feeling. If you're practicing it on a daily basis with your eyes closed, then the next level is to be able to open your eyes and do it right in the moment and be able to self-regulate and change the frustration from some experience in your life back to the energy of your future. Now that requires great awareness and great effort, but if you have a community of people that are practicing this on a daily basis and they're connected to their future because that's where their mind is, they begin to want the future more than the emotions of the past. Take out a piece of paper, write down everything you want in that person, and then become it.